Y'all, today's show is so good.
But number one, I've never seen an intro like that.
It is my hope and desire that not only will episode 30 still be fun, but episode 300 will be even more fun. You are made for something great, so go and be awesome.
Ten seconds remaining.
Hello, and welcome to the show. My name is Renee Hastings, and I'm your host of Renee Speaks. Y'all, today's show is going to be so fantastic, and partly because of our amazing sponsor, Wilbron. Wilbron is Alabama's premier public relations firm. If y'all have any needs for public relations services, be sure to hit them up at www.wilbron.com. Y'all, our guests today are so fantastic. With June being Man Month in honor of Father's Day, we are so excited about having every single episode in June feature men who have influenced our lives and impacted our communities. And today's show is absolutely no different. Today's first guest that I'm going to introduce is Quentin Florence. And Dr. Quentin Florence is the co-founder and chief investment officer at Coplanar Capital, LLC. And he brings over 2 decades of biotechnology expertise to his role. He leads the Black Men's Health Tech Fund, focusing on innovative solutions for health disparities, with contributions to Alzheimer's research, and as host of the DR Dialogue podcast, Dr. Florence drives conversations on health equity. Y'all, put your hands together for Dr. Quentin Florence.
Hey, how you doing, Renee?
Good to see you. Thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm going to introduce our next guest, who is Bobby Malone. Bobby is a seasoned entrepreneur of over 30 years as president of Clubhouse Services, Inc., serving the multifamily industry across 4 southeastern states. Beyond business, Bobby mentors at his local church and co-founded the Christian Family Aid Alliance, supporting orphan children and rural communities. Y'all, put your hands together for Bobby Malone. Hey, Bobby.
Hey, hello, Renee. I love the bumper music there. That's all right.
Thank you. Nothing but the best for you, man. So let me introduce our next guest, who is Bruce Witt. And Bruce Witt has over 30 years of experience in executive training and mentoring. Formerly a marketing executive at Shell Chemical Company, he spent 20 years at CBMC overseeing national field ministry and global representation. Bruce established Leadership Revolution in 2008 to develop leaders with a biblical perspective. He also assists business owners in connecting strategy to execution through the exceptional execution system, driving profit growth within 120 days. Y'all, put your hands together for Bruce Witt.
Great to be here.
Bruce, welcome to the show, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's going to be a great show.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you guys here on the show. I have met you just briefly in some cases and known you for a few years in others. And I know that the impact that you guys have had in the community is just incredible. Not only in the work that you do on a daily basis, but also in the communities that you serve. I know how you minister to other business leaders in the community to help them develop businesses that honor God and help them, in their transition, whether they're working a full-time job and trying to run a business on the side or been in business for 20 years and everywhere in between. You guys have truly changed lives. And so I'm just so thankful for the time that you have taken to join us today on today's show. And I would also love, before we get too far in, to introduce our fourth and final panelist, who is also just doing incredible things in his community in the state of Alabama. Y'all, Charles Royal is the CEO and owner and operator of Royal Limousine, LLC, which brings over 2 decades of transportation experience to his business in Mobile. His goal is to exceed his clients' expectations for excellence in ground transportation and limousine services. Y'all, put your hands together for Charles. Hey, Charles.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for allowing me to be on your show here.
Absolutely. We are glad to have you. It's going to be a good one.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you.
Sure thing. So one of the things I want to do first is to give each of you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself. And we'll just kind of go ahead and get started. Quentin, you want to just go ahead and jump in and tell us a little bit about you and who you are and your thoughts about today's show?
Sure. Yeah. So as Renee said, my name's Quentin Florence, and I'm the co-founder of a company called Coplanar Capital. At Coplanar, we're a venture capital investment firm. So we invest in younger stage companies, usually around Series A or C funding stage. We help the companies grow. So we're going to talk a lot about growth today. I'm looking forward to that. So we help position them in a place to grow their revenue so that the owners and ourselves exit out of those companies. And so I believe God's called me to do that because he's given me a gift of being able to not only recognize good technologies and things that can help people, but recognize people that are trying to make an impact. We always like to say at our firm that we focus on double result investing. We're looking to work with companies that are not only going to generate large revenues, but they're going to change the communities that they're in and really make an impact on this world. And so that's a little bit about me. I'm looking forward to answering questions and discussing things further.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Quentin. I appreciate that and just love the work that you do and so grateful for what you do because of the impact that it is having in so many different communities. So our next person, how about Bobby? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Good afternoon, Renee and everyone. Yes, my name is Bobby Malone. As Renee introduced, I said a seasoned entrepreneur. I've owned my company, Clubhouse Services, for over 30 years, based in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and have transitioned into I guess some different callings. And one of my passions now, because I've been an entrepreneur so long, is helping young and newer entrepreneurs kind of find their footing, but most importantly, have a clear understanding of why they're doing what they are doing, having a purpose behind their work. And, part of my journey was with my wife, Victoria. We started a nonprofit organization called, we call it CFAA, Christian Family Aid Alliance. And we started doing work. I'm here currently in Jamaica. We kind of split time between Georgia and Jamaica now. but we serve rural communities in Jamaica, helping them develop. We look for sustainable help is what we, the way we phrase it. And so that's, I split time between running my company, working on this calling, but and also more importantly, helping other businesses kind of find their purpose so that they have something worthwhile to do with their money other than buy a bigger boat is how I always put it. So that's what I'm currently doing.
Awesome. Nothing wrong with a bigger boat. I'm just saying, but there are so many more things that add so much value to so many more people's lives. So thank you so much, Bobby, for all you do, and enjoy sunny Jamaica while you're there. I'll be there in a couple of months. So I'm trying to get
awesome.
Jamaica ready. I'll call it like.
Make sure you let us know when you come.
Oh, definitely. I definitely will. All right, Bruce. Bruce, tell us a little bit about you. Who is Bruce?
Well, I run an organization called Leadership Revolution. We are working with leaders of large, both nonprofit as well as businesses in some 30 countries around the world. We will train over 8,000 leaders in both leadership, entrepreneurialism, and just execution of business. So I work with I've got a number of trainers throughout the world. We've got 6 entrepreneurial schools in Africa and India, as well as some other countries. And then I also help facilitate some CEO peer advisory groups here in Atlanta. We have over 25 business owners and leaders in several groups here. So my whole focus is really to help equip leaders to both do things with excellence, but to execute well and to do it with a godly biblical perspective.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for what you do, not only here locally, but also internationally. What impact and influence. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Charles Royal, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about you. And who is Charles?
Well, my name is Charles Royal again, and I am from Mobile, Alabama, from the South Mobile County, from the dirt roads. It's where I came up from, and I always mention that because I came from very humble beginnings. And we actually have we do transportation, not only here in Mobile, but worldwide. And I am having fun. Some days it's not as fun as others, but I'm having fun pursuing my destiny. I call myself a destinypreneur and not an entrepreneur. But I'm having a lot of fun, pursuing the things that I feel like I was born to do. So we do service worldwide. We work for a lot of the companies, major companies here in the Mobile area, where we send from the CEOs on down in the company. We provide transportation for them all over the world. And it's a thing that I love to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to you. I know I have in my business at Executive Help Now have had a need for transportation services when we're coordinating meetings in other cities, and they need to be moved from the hotel to where we're having the board meeting or just different things like that, or to the gala. And you have been instrumental in helping us out in those areas. I know you're in Alabama, I'm here in Atlanta, and the meeting was somewhere else, but you handled it all, and really, truly appreciate the service that you offer to all companies, no matter where they are.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. So now that we have all the introductions out of the way, I think everybody knows me. I'm Renee. I am the host of Renee Speaks and owner of Executive Help Now, which is a virtual assistant service providing virtual administrative support, as well as social media management and video podcast production services. So if you all in your network know anybody who needs anything, tell them to hit us up. So shameless plug. All right. So let me go ahead and get started going around the panel. I know this month is Man Month. And so, in honor of Father's Day, we are talking to the men in our lives who have had such amazing impact. And today's live show is talking about the growth game plan, scaling your business to $1 million. So I know that that number really resonates with some people and some more than others. But what I want to know from you guys right now, or to get us started, is what are some of the challenges that you have faced in growing your business or scaling your business, and how have you overcome them? Let's start with Quentin.
Awesome. So what are some of the challenges I've faced? I would say, like most entrepreneurs, whenever you start a business, the main challenge you face is the challenge with financing. I like to tell every entrepreneur I meet with that whenever you don't need money, that's when you can get financing. But all of us know when we start a business, we don't necessarily have all the financial resources we need in order to move it forward. And so what I've learned in my industry, because I'm in the investment firm and investment business, and the way it works is you have to convince investors to put their capital with you so that you can invest it and make those kind of those transactions grow. And so really for me, I really had to become a master networker. I had to start to build relationships with people so that they can trust me and trust that the processes and plans that I have for the businesses we're investing in will work. And that takes time. I couldn't rush it. I couldn't do it in one meeting. It usually actually sometimes takes months in order to implement. And so I'm not a very patient person. My wife will tell you that, I like things done tomorrow. But the Lord called me to an industry that you have to have patience, you have to have diligence, and you have to remain focused. And so, each day I just turned it into a building block. How can I build this relationship with this individual or company or institution so that eventually they will trust me as their investment partner? And so, I tell everyone who's looking for financing, you have to first become someone that you would finance in order for others to actually invest in. And so, financing is always a big concern for most entrepreneurs. But, if the Lord's called you to this space, then he has the resources there for you. You just make sure you prepare yourself so that you're ready, and don't focus on the results, focus on the process of preparing yourself, because that process will lead to the results you want.
I love that. What great advice. Prepare yourself to be the person that you would invest in yourself. Yep. That just makes perfect sense. I love that. And it is a process. And I love how you said when you don't need the money is when you need to be applying for the money.
Yes.
Because not only, I think that puts you in a better position. Also, not just because you're not coming from a place of need, you're coming from a place of preparation.
Right. And that, I'll just add, you want to come from a place of strength. I know Bobby and Bruce really well, and they've actually poured into me, and we've had discussions around this. If you already have capital and your business is healthy, then you can get terms that you want that will be good for the short term and long term. Right. That's something I had to learn when I first started my business. All money into your business is not necessarily good money, and you want to make sure you have the right relationships and the right people that you're working with. I've made plenty of mistakes in bringing on the wrong partners because I was not in a position of strength.
Got you. Can you talk a little bit more about that? How not all money is good money? What do you mean by that? Because some people,
money is not.
Wait, if it's more than what I have and I need it, it's good. It's good enough.
Yes, yes. No. I'll be happy to speak on this, right? I know the guys on this panel understand if you take a loan, there are these companies out there that are, we call them loan sharks, but they step in and they'll give you what we deem quick money, $50,000 to $80,000 to work, get your business running, but then they will actually start collecting payments from you within 30 days, and the interest rates will be really high, and they will stay on you like a creditor. So they're trying to collect and get everything from you. So you may have received the money you need, but now you've attached a problem to your business that's going to linger, because you're going to have to pay, almost double that amount of money back, and it wasn't what you signed up for. So, I always encourage people, if you go to a lending institution like a bank, and they are not willing to give you a loan or not willing to invest in you, really take a hard examination of yourself and determine, are you actually ready to receive it? And I'm speaking from experience. I was not ready to receive the initial money when we first started our business. But through going through a process and surrounding myself with the right people, I then became much more of an attractive asset for people to give money into. And so you have to understand, don't take the first paycheck that comes your way. Make sure you take the right payment.
Right. Oh, that is so smart and such great advice, because that makes me think about, those buy here, pay here car lots. How you go in there, you don't have wheels, you just need something to get from point A to point B. And they will say, yeah, sure, come. We got cars all over the place. Come pick the one you like. And then before you know it, you're paying twice what it's worth at an interest rate that is ridiculous. And you never actually get out of debt. And you end up, it's just a vicious cycle. It's just a vicious cycle.
Snowball.
So it snowballs. So, and I love how you said that you have to have you have to be ready to receive. That's some mind work to me. It's like you have to know, if not everybody gets $50,000 every day. And if you're a shopper, is that, what are you going to do with $50,000? It's immediately deposited into you. The investor that you're working with will be able to recognize that and identify that you are not ready. You are not the person who's ready to be the recipient of this kind of these kinds of funds. That sound right?
Yep, that is correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And how about you, Bobby? What are some challenges that you faced as you were building your business, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I had plenty, but I wanted to kind of piggyback on what Quentin was sharing a little about, the phrase of you being the type of individual that you would want to invest in. I would take that a little further. I kind of come from a different type of background when it comes to business development, business growth, from Quentin's space. Quentin comes from all about the investable space, right? I come from a space of really self-funding, self-growth, and more of an organic process, which I think has some merit as well. But the same, I believe, applies. What I wanted to share about that is not only being the type of individual you would want to invest in, but actually put your money where your mouth is. Invest in yourself, in your business. When you have a business need, what are you willing to give up to put into your business to bet on yourself? Again, that process actually helps structure you into a better position when you do go to a institutional type of lender, or a private equity or something like that type of individual, because you're betting on yourself. Oftentimes you've been able to make smaller mistakes. One of the best, I think, lessons that I learned from someone else early on in my business process was sometimes getting that money that you desire to launch your business, whether it's 50,000, 100,000, a million, whatever that amount is, the more money you have, the bigger errors we tend to make. And so having and making a $10,000 error is a lot better than making a $100,000 error. Trust me. And so, from a biblical perspective, God tells us to be faithful over a few things or over small things. And so there is some value in not having that initial capital that you think you need. And if it's the capital that you need to actually launch, then work a full-time job, take a part-time job, save up the money that you need to launch, and bet on yourself. That's the way I approach that. So that may not have answered the question you asked me, but I just wanted to share that bit. I'll piggybacking off of Quentin's position.
No, that was good. That was really good, because it is much easier to make a $10,000 mistake than a $100,000 mistake. And when you bet on yourself and you do what it takes to get some skin in the game, then you are more likely to take better care of it, to be a better, make sure the funds are being used wisely. Yeah. Like with every single dollar, it don't matter how big or small, that you have to be responsible with all of it. And when you're dealing with $10,000 issues, that may seem like a whole lot if you're, just getting started. But once you've gotten started and your business is getting, stabilized and it's growing and things like that, it's in that building of handling the $10,000 responsibly that you're able to then handle the $100,000 responsibly. That's what it sounds like you said. That's all right?
Absolutely. And you appreciate it when someone like Dr. Quentin comes in and gives you $100,000. You appreciate that it takes a lot to get that kind of money, so you're not as frivolous with it, or you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then piggybacking off of what Bobby said, whenever we examine a business, we expect that you've already invested in yourself. We will not do business with you or invest in you if you haven't shown that you've kind of put skin in the game yourself. Because we've learned that entrepreneurs that have gotten all of their capital from outside, they do not value capital the same as those that have had to put their own at risk. So I completely agree with what Bobby said.
Awesome. Those are some golden nuggets right there. Bet on yourself, put your own skin in the game, and that makes you more attractive to a potential investor. So awesome. So Charles, what are some things challenges that you have faced in building and scaling your business, and how have you overcome them?
Oh man, do you have enough time to hear all of that? There have been numerous challenges that I've had being in business. I heard someone once say something. They said, think about it. The next time you have bacon and eggs, the chicken was involved, but the pig was committed. The problem is most people don't want to be committed to the business, and you have to be committed no matter what. If you don't make any mistakes, then you really ain't doing nothing. You're really not doing anything. That's you're talking about skin in the game. That's mistakes. And you have to put everything you have into it. I know I came up very humbly in business. I've done I haven't ever had any investors because when I was young in business, I went seeking for investors, and like Brother Quentin say, hey, you got to be ready for that. And you're not ready, you'll know quickly, because those who you seek to invest in you, they will tell you no very quickly. So you have to know that when you have that no, that doesn't mean that you should stop. When you have that no, you have to keep going. And that's basically what I did. I had to figure out what was it that I was doing wrong. And I was doing a lot wrong, and trying to learn. It's almost like in golf, you try to cure the slice where it is in business. You have to try to cure the things that are wrong in business also. Financially, I had to find out what I was doing wrong. I had to learn how to invest more into the infrastructure of my business with, whether that been bringing in the right people to help me with my business, like Renee. Renee came in and she's been very instrumental in trying to get me on track. But she whooped me real hard for the first year, I believe. She whooped me real hard, but there was things that I needed. It helped me tremendously because she took a lot of the weight off of me from doing the work that she does for my business. I didn't have to worry about doing it. I could just call in or send her an email and say, hey, Renee, can you do this, this, and this? And so the thing is delegating authority to the right people is very important in business also. But I've had so many challenges, and I had to just learn how to, like Brother Quentin say, all money ain't good money, because sometimes it's better for you to just keep grinding at it yourself and taking great advice from like the other gentlemen who are proven that are on the panel today, taking great advice from them. And that's how I think that you grow in business. But hey, I love it because the harder it get, the harder you have to get if you want to survive, if you want to maintain, if you want to have a viable business. When things get tough, you have to get tough too. So that's just the way that it works.
I love that. Love it. Because you find out what you are made of, like Bobby was talking about. You find out what you are truly made of when you are doing it yourself. You are putting in the time. You're putting in the work. You're putting in the effort. You're putting in the money yourself. You know what you find out quickly what you are made of, and you just get stronger when the going gets tough. the tough get going, right?
Most want other people to commit, but they don't want to commit to it. They want other people to put their money into it. So you want Brother Quentin to loan you $100,000 when you ain't got $5,000 in the business. I mean, that don't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So he's got to say, hey, you want me to invest more in your business than you were willing to invest in it. That it doesn't go like that. That it doesn't work that way.
Nope, not at all. Not even a little bit. All right, Bruce, tell us, what are some of the challenges that you've had and how did you overcome them?
There have been a number of challenges, but I'd say both. I would affirm the issue of cash flow and money. But what's behind that for me has been, finding people that will partner with me. But I think it really came down to having a real clear vision, purpose, and plan. And because that's what people can buy into. They buy into you as a person and your character, but it's also your vision and as well as the depth of a plan. Because a vision without a plan is just a dream. And so it really has that whole sense of strategic element to it, of really being clear about where you're going, how am I going to get there, what are the steps, and be able to present that to people. So that's the first thing that I've had to really work on, as well as when I come alongside and both coach and consult with other businesses is around that area of vision and strategic planning. Because without that, it's just, you're probably going to be chasing your tail. The second one is just getting the right people involved. And, I heard, one of my mentors say just the other day, said sometimes you'd have to, you select, but sometimes you have to suffer before you select. Don't just go out and get the first person that's available. And so sometimes it takes time to get the right people on the bus and get the wrong people off the bus. Because oftentimes it's been said that competence without character will kill you. And you can have a lot of smart people, But if you don't have character and people that have a sense of a purpose and even a sense of godliness, you can't trust them. And so that people component, it's the people around you. It's not just you, but it's the people around you is going to make your business. And it's either going to make it great or it's going to take it into the ditch. And then finally, the area that we all struggle with at times is that there's going to be times of uncertainty. I just don't know. Or there's times of 3 or 4 opportunities, and which one do I take? And because I have limited resource. And so, but really taking the time to seek the Lord and good counsel, get other people involved, not just what's convenient or not what's just first thing out of the box, but really step back and both seek the Lord, but get good counsel, get good people around you to give you input. So the area of, vision, of character, and then seeking the Lord's guidance and counsel.
Love that. Love that. The golden nuggets for sure. 100%. Because even in my experience and scaling our business to $1 million, having the vision has been so critical to knowing, okay, this is what we do. This is what we've always done. This is how the business even got started, was because it's what I just knew how to do. And to know that is scalable if I bring on the right people and help them see the vision as well. And then we develop the plan of how to get there. That has been so impactful and made such a huge difference. And who I surrounded myself with, like you said, getting those words of wisdom, getting that wise counsel, being a part of KBL. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say that out here, but the Kingdom Business Leaders Group is an amazing way to surround yourself with people of like minds who are, godly people who want to have businesses that honor the Lord. So that is so important, so critical. Love it. Love my ladies that I get to meet with every other week. We have developed just this incredible bond of support as each of us is doing our own businesses and going through different things. One may have already been through it and said, oh yeah, this is how I got through that. And it's just been a game changer. So I love your advice for surrounding yourself with like minds and people who can give you wise counsel to overcome the challenges, because scaling is no joke. I mean, it is truly no joke. What got you here cannot get you there. So you have to bring in the right people who can get you there, and be okay with knowing that it's okay to set goals that are there. I don't know where my camera is. Right there. Okay. So that is one of the things when I was just starting the business, I was just so grateful to God that he gave me clients to work with. And so I was like, I'll just take whatever God give me, and I'm okay with that. Right. But then as he's dropped in my spirit, you can't just stay here. I can't do all the work for you. You need to go out here and do some of, get your own clients. I'm like, but why, God? You're doing so good. But it's truly been beneficial to have such amazing people in my life that have helped me understand not only what this business is, but how to actually do business God's way. And it's just been fantastic. So, but when we think about that $1 million mark, what do you think is so significant about $1 million and hitting that mark? Quentin, you want to get started?
Sure. So to me, when I think about that $1 million mark, it is a kind of mark of a point of demarcation where I've seen with myself and other entrepreneurs, you believe. It's kind of when a lot of us, when we start our business, we have lofty goals. And whenever, you're doing God-sized goals, you realize you can't reach them yourself. And so when you take that first step and you cross, $1 million in revenue, it really makes you stop, and look around and say, oh my God, I can actually do this. I can, I can follow the plans that the Lord has given me, and then my vision, and start executing to where it's building. And when you reach $1 million in revenue, I like to tell people, everyone starts to listen to you, right? People think you're serious and you know what you're doing, but every guy on here will tell you we're all trying to figure it out every day. Like, I have situations that pop up every day, and that's still the case. But it's kind of like when you see $1 million in revenue, okay, it's actually working, it's going. So for your psyche, it shows you that you're stepping the right way. And then I think for your influence and for individuals around you, that the world will term your business a success. When you've reached a $1 million in revenue. Now we all know that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a success, because you have to look at what is your net revenue, what does it cost to actually run your business. There are all kind of challenges, as we've all pointed out, that happens once you get to $1 million in revenue. But $1 million in revenue means you're actually have a functioning business, and you're growing, and you're going where towards your vision that you want to get to. So I think it's extremely important, and it's not easy. Running a business is hard. So any goalpost that we can set and reach that shows us we're headed the right way only makes it easier on us, our families, and as you build out your staff, the staff as well. Because if they see the growth, then they can keep getting behind your vision and going where you need to go. So I think having that goalpost of, hey, I'm going to reach $1 million in revenue is extremely important, and never give up until you get there, and then go beyond.
Excellent. What great advice. And I completely agree. And we have a comment from Lucy, who says that she's hoping to reach her first $1 million soon. All right, Lucy. Good. That is so fantastic, because it is so significant. Like you said, when you reach your first $1 million, it's like you become an authority and people start to listen. So absolutely. Great job, Lucy, and definitely keep up the great work. Bobby, how about you? Why is reaching $1 million significant? Uh-oh, did we lose Bobby? Oh, here he is. Can you hear me?
Okay. All right. Yeah, it kind of dropped off for a second, but I think what makes the $1 million mark significant is that it kind of I think indicates to you as an entrepreneur that that a couple of things. One, that you need others for sure to maintain, and also it indicates that I think that's when you set the goal, like, oh, I want this business to do $1 million by year, whatever. It's kind of a theoretical, abstract type of goal, but when you really start marching toward that, as you march toward that $1 million mark, you begin realizing that you have to develop people, you have to build teams out, you have to put processes and structures in place, and you're doing all these things. And when you hit it, you go, man, there's a lot of families relying on me or us to do things right, because now it's not, and I'm speaking out of my space of a service business, and I believe, Charles probably can relate to this, as he's kind of in a service space as well. It may be a little different if you are selling, $10 million helicopters, and it's just you and a couple of, and an assistant, and you make, several $100,000 commission, off of one sale. That may be a little different process. But when you're in this a service space, and it takes a lot of things going right to hit that $1 million. And so I think that $1 million mark kind of it's an indicator that you have a lot of people working with you and dependent on you.
Yes, that part. That when you come to that realization, and that can happen at 100,000 and 200,000, but really when you get to that $1 million mark, so many people are relying on you. They got whole families to feed. I mean, whole communities to serve. I mean, there's so much impact that is riding on you making right decisions, getting surrounded by the right people, putting in place the right processes, all of the things that Bobby just talked about. It's so important and so significant. So I definitely get that and can completely understand. And Bruce, how about you? What's significant about reaching $1 million in revenue?
Well, I think I would just reinforce what Quentin and Bobby said. It really both it's a mark of, one, you believe in yourself, but it also other people believe in you. So it establishes credibility, establishes a sense of you have hit certain goals. I think it also it helps. Success breeds success, and if you are successful, it's going to attract other people that are successful. But if you're always just kind of limping along, trying to put a Band-Aid on it, trying to kind of bootstrap it forward, you're not going to attract the best people. And so when you do that, it not only says something about you and solidifies your credibility, it also is going to set you up for future attracting, good people. And again, that sense of believing in yourself, you probably overcome that whole idea of the imposter syndrome. You kind of think it, but you don't really believe in yourself. Well, no, if you hit it, you've made a mark. And so it says something about you, and that allows you to then have go from survival to sustainability to scale.
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely love that. And because there's so many, I think especially women who might feel that imposter syndrome. Like, how do I know I'm really doing well? How do I know if I really am, having an impact? You hit this $1 million. Yes, ma'am. You are. You're no longer an imposter. You know a thing or two, and you can walk in that authority. So I love that. And Charles, I'm going to come back to you, but we do have a question in the chat that I would like to share with this panel before we get too far gone. And Daily Movement Web Shop wants to know, when you have two businesses that are not doing well, is it best to let go of one and focus on the other? And how do you decide which one to continue? Would either one of you like to address that for our audience?
That's a great question.
It is.
If I may start on that.
Absolutely, please.
When you say you have two businesses and one isn't doing well, I think that's a huge indicator of the root of the problem. You have two businesses. Unlike children where we can choose to have them and, or we don't really choose to have them. Sometimes you have children and, but with businesses, you can choose to have a business. And so much energy and it takes so much focus that, I think you really need to decide which one of these businesses you really feel called into and put your energy there, because at some point neither one of them is going to do well. They're going to get to a place where you can only handle and manage and develop, grow them. That it's different if you buy existing businesses and they have structures in place, but if you're trying to develop two businesses, that's probably your biggest problem. I don't know. Others may disagree, but that's my 2 cents.
Well, I think the Bible says is that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
Yes.
Amen.
That's hard.
No, I agree. Go ahead, Charles.
I'm sorry, Quentin. I personally don't believe myself. I don't believe there's anything wrong with having two businesses. But here lies the problem. If you have two businesses and both of them are failing, then I go back to what Mr. Malone says. You need to go to the business that you have the most passion and the most drive, and you feel like you're called to do first. I know when I'm on the plane, I always remember that the stewardess always tell you, in case of cabin decompression, that the masks are going to fall from the ceiling. And they always say, put your mask on first before you try to help anybody else. Well, the thing is if you have one business, make that business successful first before you try to venture into something else. Sometimes what happens to most people is they see other people doing things and it looks easy. They see other people in businesses and they look easy. And what they don't understand is what happens. And this is just my personal belief. I believe that when a person is anointed to do something, they're working in God's strength and not in their strength. So it looks easy to the eye and to most people. So you have some people say, well, I think I can do that. I think I can do it. No, that's not the way it goes. What another person does, they may be gifted to do that. That may be their calling. So their strength and what they do and how they do that is going to look different than it do if you do it and you're not called to do that. So I think Mr. Malone is correct. Get in the business that you feel like you were called to be in. Let the other business go, and then build that business. Be successful at that business first. And then once that business is a success, once you scale it up to where you want to go, then consider branching out into something else or going into another business. That's just my personal opinion.
Love it. Thank you, Charles. And Quentin, you were going to say?
Yeah, no, this is going to be unanimous. I'm involved in multiple businesses as well. And I think Charles said it perfectly, where when you're in the plane and pressure changes, put the mask on yourself first. Put the mask on the business that God has called you to first. Put all your energy there. And then if the Lord opens up opportunities and, calls you into other spaces, then you can begin to walk there. Usually whenever I'm on a guest on a podcast, people always say, well, what does an investor think of this? One of the things that makes me walk out of the door faster than anything is when I walk in and an entrepreneur tells me, oh, this is one of my 5 businesses. Well, you're divided. Your attention span is not on my money, and I don't want to give you any of it. Right? That's the end of the conversation. Right? I need you 100% focused on the money I am giving you. So, if you're having trouble getting funding, if you're having trouble getting customers, look at where you're focused. Right? If you have 2 businesses and they're not doing well, I would say to you, your target audience can probably tell that you're not 100% in on one business. It comes through. Whoever you're selling your products to, know if this is your passion and what you're really called to do. So, yeah, unanimous on that one from the panel.
Love that. Thank you, guys. What great advice for Daily Movement Web Shop. And thank you so much for the question. Because it was I'm sure that she's not the only one, or he is not the only one who has been in this situation where they're like, oh, I got all these things going on. I'm torn on which one to keep. Maybe the one I don't love so much is making the most money, but where my passion and where my gift is not making as much money. So how do I know what to do? So thank you guys for clearing that up for us. It's unanimous. Go where God has called you. All right. And then Lucy says that imposter syndrome is so real. And so I can relate to that really, really well. So thank you for being my pea in the pod, Lucy. And I'm so grateful to you guys for helping us recognize that, when we are doing our business and we are walking in our authority, then we don't have to feel like imposters. We have earned this. We deserve this. And God has gifted us with the things that he has. And so it's for us. It's okay to live a life of abundance for all of us who are walking according to God's purposes and plans for us. So moving on to the next question that we have, and I cannot believe, y'all, we've been here almost an hour. We've got just over another hour to go with you. And so I want to make sure I ask all the most important questions that I think might resonate the most with our audience. So one of the things when you're scaling your business to $1 million, Bobby, I think it was you that mentioned, or maybe it was Bruce, talking about how important it is to surround yourself with the right people and build the right team. So what strategies do you use to build a scalable team? And how do you know when to scale? Bruce, why don't you go first on that?
Okay. I think, to me, there's 5 elements in terms of helping a business, any organization, even nonprofits, get both stable and be able to grow forward. And first, it's around leadership and having a clear vision and a clear calling, a clear sense of purpose. Secondly, it's around a vision and a plan and a strategy that focuses on customers. And it's outward focus. It's not my grand plan, but it's validated by customers that are actually buying. Thirdly, there's a processes, systems, there's ways of getting your product made, delivered, and then getting the money flow back in and accounting for all of that. And then the team is getting the right people on the bus, getting the right, competencies and skills, and then working together, and then focusing on results, that we are hitting what we say we're hitting. And if we're not, what are we learning? How do we change? How do we shift gears? But all 5 elements, really, it's both people and mission, but it really helps you begin to think through, because it generally, you might be good at 2 or 3 or maybe 4 of the areas, but if one of them is lacking, then that is a problem. So you got to be working on all of these areas of leadership, vision, process, teamwork, and results. And that's what I try to help people with, is kind of a combination of those things, and see what's my strength, where my weakness, and what's the most urgent need we need to focus on.
Got you. And so is there a particular point in your business where you say that this is what I need to focus? Do you focus on one of them at a time or all of them at a time? And is there a point in your business that's like a trigger that says, okay, this is happening, so now I must need
Well,
to
I
do
think there is a sequence. It starts with leadership, and then vision, and then you got to produce the stuff, and then you get the right people involved. So there is a process. So depending on where you are, where my weak points are, you got to solve your problems before you can, try to get ahead of them, because it will just continue to be running over logs, if you will. So you have to assess and be, and sometimes you got to get some outside look at your business, because you might be too close to it. But generally speaking, it's probably going to be in the area of either vision, plans, or operations. Those are the 2 initial ones. And then it's getting the right people in order to get greater efficiency.
Got you. Love that. Who else would like to address that? What strategies used for building a scalable team, and how to determine when?
Yeah,
Bobby,
if I could jump in on that. We won't be unanimous on this one then, Bruce. Oh, am I dropping again?
No, you're fine. Keep going.
How about, okay, I was just saying, with Bruce's saying that you start with leadership, I actually disagree, Bruce. I think you start with vision. And the reason why I say that is because I think when you have a clear vision, and I'll maybe vision / purpose, understanding why you're doing what you are doing. I just saw a comment pop up where the person said that they have a t-shirt business and a coffee business. And, if I were talking to that person, I would say, hey, the shirt business and the coffee business, why are you doing it, right? You start with the why. And I think then when you have your why, it then helps you develop not only how to lead and what you're doing to lead, but it gives the your potential teammates the messaging that you need. Hey, this is why we're doing what we're doing. This is why, in my case, we are serving these apartment communities. In Charles' case, this is why we provide transportation. It's a why behind it, and that helps you when we're talking about building up a team and scaling. That messaging, I think, allows you to bring the right people on board. It gives them the right kind of point them in the right direction so that their gifts and talents are merged in going, with you. And it also, it actually helps drive who you fire, who you let go, who you don't bring on board. Because when you understand, I think you identify quicker those who shouldn't be in the boat with you. And so I say, it really starts with that vision, with that why, with that purpose, and that drives all the other drives how you operate. And and I think the leadership part is developed, and that's going to continue to develop as you grow, because you're going to be required to develop. So that's my 2 cents on kind of building the team and where I think you have to start.
I love that. It is so important to know what is your why. What motivates you to get up every single morning. And I love how you said knowing your why and having that vision will help you know who to fire, help you know who's not supposed to be with you on this journey, who's not supposed to be in this bus with you, because they make themselves known, because your why is so crystal clear. And if their values don't line up, their vision, they can't buy into the vision, they are actually making themselves known of who they are and whether or not they are passengers or bystanders on the side.
I don't know. I look at a lot of things, and it's kind of crazy. When we're talking about the infrastructure, we're talking about scaling a business. Just me personally, I believe that you have to know your market, and you need to do a market analysis to know how viable your business is, and wherever you are, you need to know that personally. As far as the scaling, I think your infrastructure dictates how quickly that you could go to $1 million. $1 million was a word that was for years was just, we known if you made $1 million that you made it. You made $1 million. But I think it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. For me, it's what you have to become in the midst of trying to make the million. That's the most important. And because you don't want to just stop with that million, you want to go to 2 million, you want to go to 3 million, you want to go to 10 million. Well, some of those principles have to be established first before you can do that. But I think the infrastructure of your business means everything. What mechanism you put in place in order to launch you to the million, or launch you to 5 million. I know when I was in the Marine Corps, the first thing we did was we started running 5 miles. And I never understood why we started running 5 miles when our PFT test was only 3 miles. Well, we started running 5 miles because the thoughts of the leadership is that if you can run 5 miles, that you can always run 3 miles easier than you could run 5 miles. So, I just think it's the way that you look at it. Mr. Quentin, Mr. Bobby, and Mr. Bruce, they're all veterans when it comes to business. But if your infrastructure is not intact, that is the first thing that will stop you from going to the heights you want to go in business. It will hurt your business. It will cause you to not to be able to make the $1 million. You have to look at the margins, and it's so many things you have to look at. And I think all of these gentlemen can tell you this, but if your infrastructure is not there, it's going to be extremely hard to get the goals and the results that you're looking for.
That's right.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that, and further to that, so thank you, Charles, further to building the infrastructure, I think that also plays into what Bruce was saying, that part of that infrastructure needs to be people who can buy into the vision and be a part of your why, understand the why. So I think that all of you are kind of saying the same thing, just from different angles and perspectives. That sounds
and
well, you're going to get a lot of people in your business that may not be. So it's a difference in a person if they're in your business because they see your vision, they want to go forward with the business, than a person there to just get a paycheck. It's two different things. Two different things. And so out of your whole company, you may have maybe 2 or 3 people that really buy into your vision, say, hey, I want to see this thing grow. Everybody else is going to be about getting a paycheck at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there will be those for sure. And Quentin, you were going to say?
Yeah, no, I'm going to echo what everyone else says. Probably my where I see it, not different, but just to add on, every business, your inflection point of when you need to scale on and bring on more talent or hire additional people is going to be different. My business is different than Bobby and Charles's business, and in Bruce's business. With what we do as an investment firm, we can go on a much longer runway because we have so many contractors we work with that do a lot of the services before we need to bring them in-house. But if you're more in a service industry, in order to service more clients, you're going to have a larger base of personnel. So what I recommend when I'm talking to companies, and even as I look at my own, what kind of foundation do I have? Because as Charles so eloquently put, if you don't have the right starting point, as you add others on, it's just going to be like a house of cards coming down. So like at Coplanar, when we're looking at people and looking at teams within our company and outside, we have these principles. We call it privet. We look at a person. What is their purpose? Why do they want to work with us? What is the purpose that they see? Does it align with our vision? Have they shown resilience in their professional life? What are the stories and that they can tell us and things that we know about them from looking into them that show that when there's a problem, they just don't run away. So, if you're hiring people and their resume says they change jobs every 3 months, may not be the best person to bring in, on your team. Then we look at insight. What type of insight do they have into our business and what we are doing? That, their experience, their connections, things that they have there. What are their values? We make no bones about it. The Lord called us to do Coplanar Capital. So we come with Christian values and purposes. We don't say that we are a Christian investment company. We are an investment company that is doing it God's way. That's kind of what we've been called to do. Then we look for do you have integrity? Do you do what you say you're going to do? It is getting harder and harder to find people that do what they say they're going to do. And we try to exemplify that as owners. And we want everyone we work with and those that are in our companies we invest in to exemplify that. And that ultimately leads to the biggest thing. We want to bring in people that we trust. And trust is something that is earned through all of the principles that I walked you through that are part of our model. So that's what we look for when we're scaling people. So I would say, sit down with the Lord, ask him to show you the characteristics of the people that he wants you to bring on your team, and put together a model like that, where you can say, does everyone I bring on my team exhibit these characteristics? Because if they don't, as we said earlier, it'll be much easier to let them go quickly.
Yes. Amen. I love that. Thank y'all. Y'all just don't know how y'all are just touching my soul today with all this great advice. I'm so excited and so thrilled to be able to get the benefit of your knowledge, and so is our audience, to just learn from you, the experts, the importance of having these values and having the vision and the importance of bringing on the right people, so that your infrastructure is on a solid foundation, not on sinking sand, but it's firm on a rock because God is at the center of it all. So I just love that. Thank you guys so much. And then now, as the clock is ticking, y'all, I'm looking at this clock. I'm like, I don't want to run out of time. So financial planning and seeking capital. How do you approach financial planning for growth? And when do you decide to seek additional funding or investment? How about Bobby? You start with that one. Bobby is not in his head. Bobby, can you hear me?
You know what? Every time you call my name, it chops up. I must be delayed really bad.
It's okay. It's Jamaica. We'll give you a pass.
I know it's the Caribbean time, man. Even the internet is not on time. I tell you.
Right?
I think I understood your question. You were give me the last part of your question and make sure I caught you, Renee.
Yes. So how do you approach financial planning for growth? And how do you know when it's time to seek additional funding or investment?
Well, again, it chopped up, but the planning for financial planning for growth, the big one for me is being a really good steward. And what I mean by that is, as you start to see success, as revenue coming into your business, not consuming everything that comes in. I think that's so important for young entrepreneurs. Is not being in this place of comparison, or being in this place of where you want to look like what you envision success to look like. That's so very, very important in the early days, because you may find yourself looking really good and spending money that you think is going to now come in forever. And as everyone on this panel can tell you, there's certain things that you can never foresee as a business owner, or a business leader for that matter. And most of us, can just look back 4 years ago, and when COVID hit, nobody could plan for that. Nobody had that on their strategic planning models for the world to basically shut down. So financial planning for me is really, over my years, has been about being a really good steward, not spending or everything that we make. And so, the best way to not need to borrow money is to be able to stack up reserves on your own during the good times, during the harvest times, during the, when you get in those great contracts. Keep living the way you were living when you had no contracts, or were just scraping by. When that great contract finally comes in, keep scraping by. Put that money up. That will position you in the future, not only to be able to grow, to also be able to weather storms, and it will put you in a position to self-capitalize some of the things that you see your business needs in the future. And you won't hinder yourself by chasing after, you need capital to fund this new payroll or whatever the case may be, because you just hired 3 people and now you can't make payroll because you're waiting on revenues to come, invoices to be paid. But you have that in place. Takes stress off of you as a leader. It takes stress off your business. And if you continue that model, it helps you to grow in a place where you can self-manage your growth and be healthy as an organization. So that's my thoughts on that.
So good. I love that advice, to keep on behaving financially as if you didn't have. So, I mean, it's okay to bring in the money, but when you get it, don't just spend it. Don't just have it come in and then just go right back out, but save it, keep it set aside. And then maybe you won't need people like Quentin to invest in the business because you've already set it aside. You've done, you.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, Renee, we lost you.
Yeah, we lost. Something happened there with you. I think we hear one another.
Yeah.
She moved to Jamaica.
There you go. I think I heard you, Renee.
All right, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I was just letting y'all know to chat
There
amongst
you go.
yourselves till I get back.
You know, I tell you what, I tell you what, Renee, I think you still will need a Quentin, because once you get your business to a certain point, if you want to go to another level, that's where Mr. Quentin comes in. When you set the infrastructure of your business up correctly, you know, when you have good margins of profit, and you can say, well, hey, now I want to go to this level. Well, now here comes Mr. Quentin, who's the money man, and he's going to say, show me the money, right? Show it to me. I want to see this. I want to see your financials. I want to see, you know, how much debt your company has. He want to see this, this, this. So now that $1 million that you need to go to another level, hey, here comes your money man, Mr. Quentin. So Quentin is always going to be a need for Quentin if you want to go to the next level. If you want to stay on a smaller playing field, maybe not. But there are certain there are levels in business, and when you want to reach those levels, Quentin is the man that you're going to want to see, because unfortunately, sometimes you can't save the resources that you need that quickly to get to where you want to go. So, but if you have a great business, if you have great financials, Mr. Quentin is one of those people who can come in and say, hey, I see what you got going on. I see your margins are great. You know, I see you have your infrastructure is great in the business. And hey, I can see you making this. You need $1 million, and I can see that I can get my money back, because that's what Quentin's worried about. If he's going to loan you money, is he's got to see where he's going to be able to get his money back and make money. If he can't make money, there's no need to lend it.
Right. Exactly. 100%. So good points.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
oh,
go ahead, Bruce.
I know. I was just going to say, I imagine Quentin has certain ratios and certain questions or certain thresholds that make sense that you're either ready for this loan or you're not, and don't get too far ahead of your skis. So I was going to say, Quentin, you're probably the man.
He is the man. He is the man.
I don't know about all that, but the first thing I would like to say is I appreciate you guys for not making the investment guy answer this question initially. Usually everybody just looks at me. How do you get a company ready for investment? Quentin, tell us how to do that. No, I really appreciate you guys. I think, they're spot on, guys. I will add, whenever I come in and I'm looking at a company, there are different investment firms have different processes. But when I walk in, I'm looking for a company that's ready to grow. I want the fire to be burning, and then I'm going to put things on it to make that fire grow larger and grow into, just everything God has called it to be. It's like Charles said, everyone, even me in my business, I reach a point where my savings take me so far, but if I want to go to that next scale, go from a $1 million business to a $10 million business, then to a $100 million business, those visions are so big, we can't do them on our own, right? God has made them that way. He doesn't want us to feel like we are in control of everything. We're going to have to serve our neighbors so that they can come along beside us to grow the business to where he's called it to be. And so, when you say, how how do I get my business ready? You steward it well. Those who are faithful with little will be given much. So I always look for businesses that have stewarded what the Lord has given them well, so that then I know that they understand the value of what I'm bringing to the table. And the one thing I want to tell your listeners, Renee, to understand, when you bring in someone who's either giving you debt or coming in like we do equity investment. So we are now your partners for as long as you have this business. You are no longer running your business on your own. So you have to really have a mindset of, I used to make unilateral decisions, but now I have to make those decisions with my financial partners. And sometimes we come in and we help you, and it's a great experience. But if you're not performing, we also have the right to kind of step in and bring in people that can help run the business better. And so if you're going to bring people in, you have to be ready for all of those possible outcomes. And there are numerous times where we see this person has a good business, but they didn't understand, if I'm going from 10 million to 30 million, I'm going to have to give up a lot of myself, and all of the control I had will no longer be there. So you have to understand that it's okay to release control, because, I tell people 10% of a business that's making $100 million a year is a lot better than 90% of a business that's making $2 million a year. Just do the quick math and see what you can actually do with it. So.
Wow. That is so good. That I never even thought about that part. When you bring on an equity investor, you no longer you might look like the boss, but you're not the boss anymore.
No.
Well,
I'm not even the boss. Like I tell people, I'm
Money
not
is
even
the
the
boss.
boss.
Who has the money?
Yeah, I have investors who I report to, right? Even in my business, we build a fund. That fund of capital is through my limited partners, and ultimately my limited partners are in charge. And so I have to make sure they get their returns, they get the performance that they want. We have this false sense of control, and God has shown me over and over, the closer we get to him and the more we walk in the callings that he has for us, the more we realize we are not in control. And it's the same in our business.
Yes, 100%. Oh, I love that. What a reality check, y'all. Just saying, this is so good. I mean, if we want to achieve God-sized goals, we have to release control. We just have to know we're vessels being used, God's hands and feet, to accomplish his will, whatever that is. And when our goals and our purposes line up with him and his plans for us, that's the sweet spot. And we're just going through the motions, doing what God said. So that is so wonderful. So as we are thinking about scaling our businesses to $1 million and beyond, what are some of the common challenges that come with trying to scale to $1 million, and how do you overcome them? And how do you manage the stress with the increased responsibilities, or is there stress? Who'd like to take that one?
Well, I guess one of the things that would come to my mind is that there's this matrix of the urgent and the important. And one of the challenges of scaling is that you want to get there quicker than maybe is probably going to happen. But you're always fighting the urgent. And is it urgent and important, or is it important but not urgent? Don't fall into the trap of urgent and not important. Or it's not urgent, it's not important. You give those things away. So you really have to understand, if you can get too many things going, you can't do them all at once. So you really have to understand what's important. What are the things that are, I have to get done, but there's order and process and priorities. that you got to make sure that if you want to scale, there's certain things you got to do first in order to get to the next ones. You can't do everything at once.
Right. I love that. Anyone else?
Yeah, that's good.
That's
Yeah,
good.
so
When it comes to the stress and increased responsibilities, I'm sorry, am I talking over you?
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
When it comes to the increased, when it comes to the increased responsibilities and stress, one of the things that I found really helpful is truly not just in words saying that God is my partner, but behaving like God is my partner, and God is the actual boss. And so when I behave that like God is the boss, when there's things that aren't going well, or there's things happening out of my control, I can quickly identify if I'm trusting God is if I can't go to sleep. If I can't go to sleep at night, I'm not trusting that God, my partner, who is all powerful and all knowing, is actually in control. Or am I still trying to maintain control? It goes back to that purpose, having that purpose behind, why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I can always look to God and go, you know what, God, I'm not going to be able to do this thing that you told me to do if you allow this XYZ to happen, or this failure to happen, or this thing to cause a failure. So it's liberating when you make God your partner, because you can literally cast your burdens on him, like put things on God, and like, God, if you don't protect the business, I'm not going to be able to do this thing in Jamaica that you told me to do. So there, and I'm going to bed. And so it allows us to rest when we trust them. So that I think that's a really important for the audience to understand, and that it's not just saying God is a partner, but actually walking that out, and then living it out by your behavior and your trust and your obedience.
I love that. And then you sleep well.
I love it good. I love it too, but it don't work like that for me. I can't talk for nobody else in on the panel. And for no disrespect, Bobby, I just think it's a part of an entrepreneur's DNA to is certain things that it's gonna make him stay up. It's gonna make him think. It's gonna make him have nights that he don't sleep as well. I just think that's an entrepreneur, period. But now that's just my perspective on it. I wish it was that smooth for me, but it's not. It's just certain things you're gonna worry about. Either way, it's just things you're gonna worry about. And I trust God, and I believe in God myself. And but I do believe that He gives us dreams for a reason. He gave us dreams for a reason, and sometimes those dreams will keep you up at night, especially when you haven't accomplished them yet. Sometimes things will keep you up. But now that's just my personal opinion on that situation there.
Well, I definitely get that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Who was that?
No,
was that
I was going to say it was me. I don't know if I'm choppy, but it was Quentin. Can you hear me?
Okay, thanks. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. What I was going to say when you said what are the challenges with scaling to $1 million, what we see with a lot of our businesses, and even with my own, the challenges are not necessarily within the business. All of us have a plan. We all, and with our business, we dedicate a ton of time. We have a lot of people coming in to help. So normally when those challenges come up with our business, we're so focused on our business that we overcome them and we walk where we need to go. But my partner and I, we have a statement that we tell every single one of our entrepreneurs that we invest in. When the money shows up, things change. When the money shows up, things change. It's going to amplify. It's going to show you every good part of you, but it's also going to amplify areas in your life where you have challenges. So the challenge that I want everybody who's listening here to understand is you have to find balance in your life as an entrepreneur. Because if you don't find it while you are going through the process of building your business to $1 million in revenue, once you get there and you're going from $1 million to 10 million and your responsibilities increase and your connections increase and your influence increases, it only becomes more challenging. So what I really want to emphasize are, just like you have processes and plans and a vision for your business, you need to have a vision, a process, and plan for your life as it's corresponding to that business. Because, you know, the notorious B.I.G. said, "More money, more problems." And he is correct. He was absolutely correct. Like the more resources and things you receive, the more challenges that there will be in your life. And in some business cases, you know, this happens what seems like overnight, where you've been working on a business for years, 5 years, 7 years. All of a sudden, you get the right contract, as Bobby described, and now you receive a $1 million payment. Have you trained yourself, like Bobby said, to put away 70% of that money? Or have you been living, you know, barely scraping by for so long, putting everything back into the business? Now you finally see extra and you go out and you spend it all, so that a year later, now you're dealing with challenges. You have to have a vision in place for your personal life. We are all entrepreneurs. It consumes us. I love what Charles said. Listen, I'm up at night. I'm going, right? There are challenges we all face, right? But Bobby, the reason why I love speaking to Bobby is because Bobby reminds me, God called me to this. I can put it in his hands and let it go. When I'm sitting there and I'm spiraling out of control and I'm trying to figure it all out, I have to then go to, well, what's the plan for my life? The plan for my life is I am who God called me to be. And this business is going to be successful because he's going to make it successful. There's nothing I can do except for work it the way he's called me to work it in order to keep going. So the challenges, you know, that to all your listeners, believe it or not, majority of the challenges come in your personal life, your life separate from the business as it is growing. I have countless stories that I can tell you. When the money shows up, problems show up with it. Trust me.
Wow. So good. So good. And that whole message will preach by itself.
I'm gonna send you an offer, Quentin. That was definitely a good one.
So Simone Blake has joined us. Simone,
definitely good.
It was good. So Simone has a question, and she's joined the show. So thank you for joining, Simone. She says, as someone who gets anxious and stressed easily, would you say that the stress of scaling your business is worth it? Or would it be better to aim for a more stable and steadier path? Who would like to help out, Simone?
Good.
Well, I think there's always a question we have to
listen. I the same thing I ask every entrepreneur. The same thing I always ask is Simone, why are you doing what you're doing? Because if your why is bigger than you and your household, and you know, in other words, you know, are you doing your business because you want to provide for your family and you want to, you know, send your kids to better schools or give them a better future? All of that stuff is good, but you can do that working anywhere. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a business to do that. But here is what I say. If I always speak to business owners as going into business as a calling. For those of us who are called into business, like this is what we do, then it's a purpose that's bigger than you and your family. It's something that God has called you that's outside of yourself. And so for that, that's then the reason why you do your business. The other stuff, all those other things are added onto you. You're going to provide a legacy for your family. You're going to provide a better, a life for your household, and all of that stuff is added on to you. But God is calling you to do this thing for him, for his kingdom, for a bigger purpose. And so that's that's the thing that's going to be able to sustain you. Charles says, that, they're sleepless nights. Well, that there can be sleepless nights, but again, if you don't have anything bigger than you to lean on, to go, God, I can't do that thing you call me to do. If it fails, I'm going to bed, because now you can rest, because now it's on God to see his purpose and his vision through. But if it's only your purpose, you're right. You got to stay up all night with Charles and figure that thing out.
I love it. Thank you, Bobby.
And I'm just picking on Charles. I'm just playing. don't take me serious.
No, but that's so true, though. But our why has to be bigger than just us four and no more. It has to be so much bigger that if it's going to be successful, the goal should be that have to be so successful that in order to get there, it's only gonna be God that gets it there. That's what we need to be thinking about. So if that's not where we are, if that's not our passion, if we're stressing about scaling the business, it's because we're trying to hold on to too much and not releasing it to God and allowing him to do his work through us. So we don't have to stress about the business. We don't have to stress about all of the things that come along with scaling a business, because what is for you, and God to be the provider of those things in his timing. What's not for you, if you don't have it, it's not for you right now.
Yeah. And
so you operate where you are until God has said, okay, let's go on to the next level. So you keep on. Maybe there's I don't know, boundary is the right word, where you have a plan and then God has a plan. And you keep on striving for your plan, but just know that God's ultimate plan is what will prevail.
That's true. And I think part of that too, though, is that as we go through difficulties,
that's where your focus needs to be, right? On God's plan.
Right. Thank you, Bobby. And Bruce?
Yeah, I think but the Lord also uses difficulties and struggles and stress to grow us. And just as it says that unless a grain of wheat falls in the earth, it dies and remains by itself alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. And it also talks about that, God's going to prune us so we might bear more fruit. And so in this sense of being able to, God has to take us through difficulties in order to grow us. And because if it's always just right there for me, I don't learn the difficulties. I don't learn the challenges and grow up to maturity. Also, as a part of that calling, is God gives us the calling, God gives us a purpose, but he also gives it to people who can handle it. And they have to have a maturity in themselves. And that's where, again, that's where the leadership side comes into, is that, God's going to give the vision, but he gives it to people who he entrusts with it and who are trustworthy. And we have to be trustworthy. And so part of the question that why do I scale and should I or should I not? Part of that question is we got to look at our own hearts. Why am I doing this? And how much is enough? Because, a little bit more is not going to satisfy. And so we have to really look at both the why and then what is my motive? How much is enough? Am I satisfied? And then if I'm going through difficulty, how is God growing me in order to give me more opportunity? And so that's a part of so challenges come in order to grow us. Right.
So I agree with that. Man, how we grow through the challenges. And we never really realize how strong we are if we aren't given opportunities to be strong. So, so to answer Simone's question, then I think it's the stress of scaling a business shouldn't really be. How do I put this, you guys? It shouldn't be that stressful if you're relying on God, or if the stable, steadier path. I mean, I don't feel like I'm answering this one.
Yeah. So, so here's what I would say, Simone. First off, you are not easily worried or anxious. Do not speak that over yourself. Know who you are in God. Number one, you are not easily worried or anxious. When it comes to scaling a business and is it worth it? If God called you to do it, it's worth it. And he will carry you through every challenge that you have as you scale that business. So it goes back to where we started off. Has God called you to do this business? If your answer to that question is yes, has he then called you to scale this business? If the answer to that question is yes, then you move forward without worrying about what will happen because you already know what will happen. God has called you to scale it, so it will scale. And I say that as someone who, when I transitioned to get into the investment space, I know Bobby and Bruce well. They will tell you I was a scientist. I was in a completely different arena. So I was extremely concerned when God stopped me in my tracks and said, go become an investor and invest in companies. You know, I had a lot to learn. I had a lot of different things going on. And I look at myself now, 8 years later, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else but this. And so God had a plan, and he has carried me through every challenge. And the worrying that I did, now that I look back, it was pointless because all I had to do was put my trust in God to keep going. So what I would tell you is, if your question is the worrying and stress worth it? If God has called you to do it, you can't do anything else. It is well worth it.
Yes. Amen. That's so good. And I love how you reminded. Oh, go ahead, Bobby.
I was just going to ask, if I wanted to ask Quentin if he remembers, because I remember really well one of the first conversations I had with him as he was stepping into this space. And I asked Quentin this, and this is what I always ask entrepreneurs when they're about to step into this space. Why do you think God wants you to do this thing? And more importantly, what does God want you to do with the money? And I told Quentin this, and I think this is a great advice for any entrepreneur stepping into this, and even Simone talking about, is it worth it to scale? You have to purpose in your heart how you want to live before you go on this journey. Because if you don't, Quentin said it, when the money comes in, things change. And so if you're married, you and your spouse have to decide, how are we going to live if this business is as wildly successful as I envision it becoming? Because that goes back to your God reasoning, your God purpose, for doing the work, for doing it. And so if your God purpose is in place, then scaling the challenges that, Bruce talked about, you face challenge. God allows us to go through challenges so we can become, stronger and better. And he can get us to that next place. When I talk about being able to go to sleep in spite of problems, and sometimes really serious problems, I wasn't always there. I had sleepless nights. That was a growth process that I had to go through. So now I can say emphatically to others, listen, when God has said, Renee, I want you to do this thing here, because when the money comes in, I need you to use that money to do that thing over there. Now, when challenges come your way, you be like, God, I won't be able to do that thing over there unless you take care of this thing right here. So, it releases us from having to carry the weight of quote unquote success and whatever that may look like. And so, I want, your listeners to really, if they take anything away, is to really know. And I think a whole nother discussion may be, how do you know if God is calling you into this space or not? That may be a whole nother topic or question that has to get answered.
I love that. The weight of success. There is a weight of success. And if we try to carry it ourselves, we will fall every single time. We can't make it up the hill. We'll hardly get up an incline. We have got to put all of that on God and allow him to be the carrier and provider and supplier of every good thing that he has for us. So we can go to sleep at night, and because we trust him, because he said it and he can't lie. So I love that. So Simone, I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for your question. And as the clock is winding down, y'all, I have one last thing I want to ask, and that is, what advice would you give to those aiming to hit $1 million in revenue for aspiring entrepreneurs? Anyone can go first. Quentin?
No one Bobby in particular. Well, I'll go first and just end it. I think I've said mine a million times, and it's know why you're doing what you're doing. That's if God has called you, know what it is God is calling you to do and why he wants you to do it. And if you know that, everything else will fall in place.
That's right. I love that. And Simone says, thank you, everyone. Whatever path he leads me on, I trust that his will be done. Amen. We're joining with you in that, Simone.
Yeah.
Amen.
Right.
Amen. Yeah. I think for me, I'm gonna let Bruce go last. The advice I would give to anyone who is scaling their business is know your plan, work your plan, and trust it. Because so many things are going to come up to challenge you making it to that $1 million mark. But if you've already, God has called you to this business, you have a vision and you're executing a plan, trust it and work through it. And then it will happen, because challenges are just a part of running any business. Things coming against you meeting that goal, it is what is going to happen. But trust the vision that God is giving you and work the plan that he's laid out for you, and you will get there.
I love that. Thank you, Quentin. And
I guess I would just encourage people, whoever is in a business, wants to scale their business, there's two sides of the coin. There's the spiritual and there's the practical. And so Quentin spoke right to we got to know our plan, got to know ourselves, and we got to trust ourselves in the plan and go forward. And that's fantastic advice in terms of the practical and moving forward. And then it has to be balanced by the spirituals. I need to know the Lord. I need to know that Christ lives in me and wants to work through me. And apart from him, I can do nothing. And so I've got to really trust him. And I got to know him, and I got to know him in me and the intimacy, as well as then trust him to walk by faith, and then to thank him for whatever comes. And so it's a both and. It's not an either or. And then finally, I would say wherever you are, little, big, scale, no scale, is keep seeking to do things with excellence. And because it says that in Matthew 5:16, let your light shine before men in such a way they may see your good works and glorify God who is in heaven. And if we do things with excellence, the world's going to come to us. Yeah. They're going to pay more than they would, and it's going to glorify the Lord. So we have to really, we pursue excellence, we are honoring him, and it will set us apart.
Yes. Amen. I love that so much. And I think too, as you all were talking, I was taking it as I'm looking down like this, I'm taking notes, y'all. So one of the things that you said is that challenges are going to come, and we need to just trust the process, and that we can't grow. One of the things I've taken from this is that we can't grow in our trust without the challenges. So if we never had a challenge, then we would have no reason to trust, or no purpose for trusting. But when things come against us, when we have a client that has maybe been our number one client, and then all of a sudden they pull a rug out from under us, and then we no longer have that client, how are we going to respond to that? It's all a part of the plan that God already, that's not a surprise to him. What happened is not a surprise. He's fully aware, and he may need to take that client out from underneath you so that you can learn to trust him more, because his plan may already be for you to get out of that comfort zone. Somebody here on the call talked about comfort zone. Get out of that comfort zone so that you can scale, because now he might see that you are ready for the next level. And so you need to trust him and trust the process as he is moving you to where he wants you to be in business. And then the other thing that stood out to me is how we need to thank him, even for the challenges. Thank him for the challenges. Thank him for the tough times, because it draws us closer to him. It all is serving a purpose. It all matters. How we respond matters. And so that, I think, is just all of the wisdom you all shared has just been so incredibly valuable to not only us as entrepreneurs, but even us just trying to live life. Whether or not we got businesses at all. This was so fantastic. Such great words of wisdom to live by on a daily basis. So I know we have all of your socials that we'll put in the show notes for sure. But Quentin, do you want to start out telling us how we can reach you, how we can stay in touch with you after today's show?
Yeah. So the best way to reach me is through LinkedIn. I have a profile there. If you want to reach me directly around anything. And then my website is www.coplanarcapital.com. We have a contact section there. Feel free to reach out. Me and my partner, Doug Vanderlyn, we get the messages, and we'll be happy to follow up.
Awesome. Thank you, Quentin. And we're also showing your website so people know when they get to the right place. Better Returns for a Better World. That's www.coplanarcapital.com.
Yep.
Check them out, y'all. Awesome. I love it. All right, Bobby, how do we reach you?
I'm not on social media, so you got to know me to actually know me. But I'll plug this. I am part of a group called Victory Business Collective, where a lot of these discussions for entrepreneurs are had, where you can have some peer advisory. If you are in the Atlanta area, if not, we are working on eventually having some online groups as well. But otherwise, I am accessible through, you can look me up on LinkedIn and, message me there. But I'm not the online chat person to, I don't have time for that. But I will spend time with individuals who are maybe needing some input on what they have going on, and I'm more than happy to help directly that kind of way.
I love that. Bobby, you are so funny, and you crack me up that you are not on social media. You're like, you have to know me to know me. I don't know why that is so funny to me, because it's like a unicorn. but
it's so Bobby. We
did find you on LinkedIn. right,
Oh,
Bobby
see,
Malone.
there I am. There's my LinkedIn. There we go.
Somebody put it out there.
See?
They're looking out for you, Bobby. And then the Business Collective is at www.victorybusinesscollective.com. No. Or is it something?
I have no idea. It's on. Okay. It's actually it's a link on the Victory website. Yeah, under Victory Business. Victory Business.
Okay, got it. We'll figure it out. We'll get it in the show notes. People are gonna find you and they're gonna call. All right, Bruce. How do we reach you and stay in touch?
Yeah, you can find me if you want me. So. I would say also, LinkedIn, website, I have, again, or even Bruce at leadershiprevolution.us. So, I'm here to serve. And if I can be of any help to you in terms of encouragement and just wisdom, be glad to be of help. So, LinkedIn, website, or email.
Love that. And we have your website pulled up here, Leadership Revolution. Love that. The Ministry of Bruce Witt and One Leader Training. So we have definitely received some words of wisdom, some golden nuggets. Found you on LinkedIn here under Bruce Witt. Definitely connect. Everyone in our audience, definitely connect with these men. If you are an entrepreneur, you have questions about scaling, you have questions about leadership, you have questions about financing and investing, these are the guys to reach out to for sure. Unfortunately, Charles had an emergency in the middle of the show and had to drop, but Charles is also a great person to know. His limousine service is out of Mobile, but he has connections worldwide. So if there's any transportation needs that anyone has, definitely reach out to him. I believe his website is www.royallimomob.com. So definitely reach out to him as well. So as we get ready to bring our session to a close, I just, again, want to thank you all for kicking off our Man Month in honor of Father's Day to help us get started on just some incredible episodes this month in terms of our business and how we're going to grow, and just the leadership advice that you've given, the entrepreneurial advice that you've given, helping us understand our relationship to our business and God's role in it has just been invaluable. Like I said before, all of you were made for something great. So go and be awesome.